When my mother talks, I listen. Maybe she felt like, no, we are kolawunti. But truth is, I was listening. Listening means I was consuming it. I was making it become part of my life. And so if you want to get out of that space of self-doubt, begin to listen rather than you hear.
Yeah.
Well, hearing means what? Listening means, oh, mate, mafa bibi womu ena me de yejo.
Yeah.
So listen more than you are hearing. That's why my company name is Conversationalist Listening Ear Consult. I listen. I don't just hear.
Yeah.
So begin to listen and know that what they are really telling you. I knew that no, into my sana makwanya. Sabi, baby papa. So I had to learn.
Yeah. This is a place where we explore the process behind success. Each week, we sit with inspiring guests who share their stories, struggles, and triumphs to help you navigate your journey. I'm Julius, your host. Welcome to Time with Julius podcast. Hi, lovely people. Welcome back on another episode on Time with Julius. Today's topic is mind over matter, which simply means self-doubt. I'm sure we all go through that phases where at some point on our lives, we self-doubt ourselves. Do you know what I mean? And I'm sure even if we haven't gone through it, there could be someone that's facing it, still struggling with it. If not you, I'm sure you can recommend this episode to them, and also they can learn something, because I have Naana and Lexis with me today again, to dive into this inspirational topic. I hope you're gonna enjoy it. Stay with us. Naana, see you again. And also, guys, we're gonna have Naana a lot of quiet time, because we have a lot of topics that we're gonna go over. So we're gonna be seeing me and Naana a lot. So get used to it.
Okay.
How are you today?
Very well, and yourself?
I'm very good. I'm very good. Yeah. I mean, did I say it right? They're gonna see us a lot, isn't it?
Yes, they will. They'll see us a lot in good faith.
So yeah, today we talking about self-doubt, mind over matter. It's very interesting topic, because I'm sure everyone goes through this, thing. And I've been through it a lot. I'm probably still going through it. And I have some questions that maybe will help us to be able to overcome these challenges. So before anything, I want us to talk about confidence.
Okay.
Before we get into self-doubt, because it goes hand in hand, isn't it? Yeah. So I want us to talk about confidence. What's confident? When do you make sure you don't overcome it? And that will be overconfidence.
Confidence is being aware of what you're doing or saying, and then being able to communicate it efficiently. In a case where you're overdoing it, is where you are over communicating. You don't know when to put a pause, and then don't know when to keep quiet and listen.
Yeah.
Because even as a confident person, as much as you would want to speak, as much as you want to engage people to feel your confidence, you also want to take a little bit of feedback to tell what exactly they're getting, if it's the exact thing you want them to get.
Yeah.
And so for me, I would say confidence is what you can exude to people or communicate to people based on what you want to really communicate to or say to them. Yeah.
Yeah. And then when does it become low self-esteem?
This one.
Yeah.
It becomes low self-esteem when you doubt that even what you're doing is worthy of people consumption or consumption in general, because it may not be people who are consuming you, and then you may be telling on yourself that you're not good for this one. So it is when you have that complete doubt that lives within you, that does not encourage you, that does not boost you, that does not self-motivate you to keep pushing. That is when you sit in low self-esteem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So and then when that's very similar, to self-doubt, isn't it?
Exactly. They're just vocabs I think we play with.
Yeah.
For self-doubt, there may be other principles that you want to work with when you want to fix it. And then for low self-esteem, there might be different principles we work with. However, we match it up together to be able to boost the self-confidence. And then at the end of the day, you win and we win.
Yeah. Can you share personal experience where self-doubt held you back?
Yes. I can take this trip as far back as secondary school. When I decided to start barbering people's hair to make a little money and support myself in school, because I was a visual art student.
Right.
And it was more practical. And I knew the situation at home. And I knew if I came to school, there was no reason calling back home for any form of help. Because you've been given whatever is there, and then you've been told what to do when you get to school. And so what other thing was I going to do? I was going to start selling credits. At that time, it was a phone card. I was going to buy that and sell, and I would rent it out and then get my money. Or I was going to start barbering people's hair, or I was going to sew. So for those of them that experienced me in that way, they'll tell, once I'm done, I'm taking my money. However, what did it take me for me to be able to start that? I was a very quiet person. I had turned to become timid because at home I was quite vocal. And each time I did that vocal thing, I was shut down. Hey, akola nkasa. Hey, akola nyesa. And I can't make a single shit. I have a principled mother who was careful with what you say, at what time, who in whose presence, and not to get yourself into trouble. So she has to come defend you. She will tell you categorically, I'm not going to be there. Because I know my situation, and so I'm very careful. And I'll say some of these ones were quite encouraging, but to an extent, it pulled me away from people. And for friends who knew me from infancy would say, I was quite quiet when I have something to say. I'll just keep quiet and rather put it in writing or drawings. And so yes, I have experienced it personally. I had doubts. I had to ask myself questions. Wait, how will people see me? How will they laugh at me? I have a mother who works in a certain kind of job. And I lived with a single parent. So it was always like my mother this, my mother that. So if I said this one and my mother heard it, what was she going to say? So I had to consider so many other things. But the question is, if I don't do it, so how do I pay for my practical items? How can I get these things to work? And so I had to consider.
Yeah.
I even went to the extent of speaking to a friend of mine in school, Mauto. She had to convince me in a way that, okay, you give it a try and let's see if it works. You and things, you like to try little things. And I believe you me, that's something that saved me a lot when it came to my practicals. I would barber people's, and I still do actually. If you bring your head, I'll do that.
Yeah.
I'll try it very
How was the
perfect.
feeling at the time, though?
Seriously, I was not so much about feelings.
Was that uni or was that in
In secondary school. I was not so much about the feelings. I was about what I can make.
No,
Because
in a sense where is like a female.
there was no,
Do it
no, I was in an all female school. So it was all girls. So there was nothing like stereotyping or nothing.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't, truth is, I didn't
And
really
then
care.
see that in Africa you cut your hair.
Exactly.
You need exactly.
Exactly. So I didn't really know. I was just concerned at a point that people would point at me and say, hey, the girl barbs people hair. And I didn't care. I even went as far as stitching people's sandals for them because I had done leather works from GSS. And so it came in handy.
You sound like you're very handy. Yeah.
Well, I tried.
Yeah, you're very, very
So
handy.
personal experience on that, it didn't really quite boost my morale.
Okay.
However, when I started seeing the results, I did it for the first person. She liked it. Her friends liked it. And it was quite cheaper than what the barber in school was taking. So why was I not going to keep doing it? I was going to keep doing it. There were instances where I stitched people's uniforms and I took something little and it was still helping me. I was renting phone cards and it was still helping me. So my concern was no more what people would think or say about me, but rather what I was making. There were even times that I would sell toffees and all that and biscuits from my chop box because I need to make some money. And I wasn't the food kind of person. So this I'm still not like food kind of person. So when I had brought the provisions to school, I look at people who don't, I'll take my money and then off I go. And so, yes, in the beginning, it looked funny.
Yeah.
In the beginning, people looked down on me and I was not too academically sound. And so people would say, I own pad this year and I maybe will switch it to this. In beginning phase, I battled with it. However, I got to learn that if I didn't do it, nobody was going to do it for me. And who was I going to call? Let me share this little experience of having to go to the phone booth trying to reach out to my father who did not live in the country at the time. And I'd call, it will ring from beginning and it will drop. Call, it drops. And you realize that people are calling people asking for help. And I knew, there was nobody.
Yeah.
And so why am I going to sit there and wallow in pity rather than looking for solutions?
You have the skills.
Exactly. And so I found some solution for myself and then it worked for me.
Okay.
But I'd say in a way, I have always been self-motivated because I knew my background. It was a ringing bell every morning in my ear.
Yeah.
That you knew where you were coming from and then you cannot afford to mess the situation up. No matter what it is, you can't mess it up. You have to be successful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you didn't actually experience self-doubt.
I did. I doubted myself because one, it was my first try at the person's hair.
Yeah.
I didn't know whether it was going to turn out good, but I had seen people do it.
Okay.
And I'll pick things when people do them and I look closely at it. I can say, okay, I can repeat the same action
Yeah.
and it'll work perfect. And so, yes.
So how did you overcome that?
I overcame that by trying. If I
Okay.
didn't try, I was not going to overcome it. And then I looked at it that worst case scenario, what they can say is you didn't do. That's the only thing they can say.
Yeah.
No one will beat me.
So now when you get to that, it was
It was the first time and then it worked well. I was careful because I did not want to make an error where the doubt will come live with me for a long while.
Yeah.
So I had doubts.
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
But I got motivation. And that is what sailed me through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the confidence for you there.
Yeah.
So you let your confidence kick in.
Absolutely.
You know, can I say, I mean, my definition of confidence is, I feel like a lot of people think confidence is a feeling. You know, like you just have to have the feeling to know me to do it. You know, but I feel like it's the realness to try. You know, when you have the realness, because is the trying, there is that effort that there.
To an extent, yes.
Yeah. See, you know, because I feel like it's not something that is just has to be in your head. You know, you can have the confidence in your head, but actually doing it is another thing.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that's my definition of confident. So before anything, I want us to look into how people the root of doubting yourself. You know, when people doubt themselves, it could take a lot of years for them to overcome it. A lot of people doesn't even realize that that's what they are struggling with. They don't even know that. They don't even realize, that they mean self-doubting themselves. You know, so I want us to look at the things that some of the factors that affect us. I think you just mentioned one, as our parents, as your mom, you know, will always tell you, um, you know, some home with the mini bill, saying, you know. And I feel like, as I said, it's very good, but to an extent, do you know what I mean? Because then it will make you always be just not trying that much. You always saying to yourself, oh, you know, maybe, you know, maybe it's mini bill, me that have to me, or I have to me. But sometimes when you you don't go anywhere in life.
Oh.
You know, so can we look into some of the things that, you know, affect us, you know, for us to have self-doubt?
For self-doubt to come and live with you, it means there's something within. So this brings me to sometimes me saying that you can find strength in your weakness. Majority of the time, whatever you feel that is a form of weakness is because it lives with you. It's there.
Yeah.
You are either denying yourself that it's there or you're just pretending not to see it. And so confidence lives in us.
Yeah.
But because we feel, oh, if we did it, someone would not like it. Someone may not appreciate it. We are thinking about other people's opinion over what really the thing may look like. And we are not perhaps even like you're saying, what confidence is like to you. Is they are not trying. You're not making the efforts to even let people see what is in there that is the confidence or is a weakness. People say, I'm overconfident and that thing worries me. I'm like, why are you overconfident? Have you heard yourself speak?
Yeah.
What do the people tell you about the feedback? Like, what are they saying? Are they saying you are talking too much? Or they say that, okay, you said it, but I think you could have tweaked it a little bit. And so self-doubt is when sometimes people are not accepting for change to occur. When we say we are not accepting for change to occur, what are we saying? We're saying that, yes, if in self-doubt, it means you do things that people may not appreciate.
Yeah.
But you're not looking for the lessons, but you're rather concentrating on the errors that they are speaking about.
Yeah.
And so for us to overcome it, we have to learn that there may be lessons within the things that people would refer to that may make us feel like we are down there, we can't come up.
Yeah.
So I remember when I started public speaking, people will constantly say, Nana, you're speaking too fast. Can you slow down?
Yeah.
For some people, they'll feel it would minimize their confidence. I didn't do that. I sat down, I analyzed. It took me about 2 years. I'm like, okay, what you're saying is true. Sometimes I even miss the last word of the sentence.
Yeah.
And so if I could relax, taking deep breath. And then that was when I went to radio school to perfect what I was going to do. So I was going to speak well, I was going to articulate properly,
Yeah.
and I was going to make sure people are hearing me rather than me running through the conversation.
Yeah.
And I think it's brought me somewhere that people would just come on social media and say, Nana, I love how you speak.
Yeah.
Because the voice is there, the personality is present, but the people need to hear you.
Yeah.
So it's not that you're overconfident, and it's not that you doubt yourself that you cannot do it. It's because you're not pushing to try. And there may be people in there who are actually waiting to give you support,
Yeah.
going to punch the holes in there for you to be able to correct them.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. That's so true, because we spend so much time thinking about, what people think about us, and that is a big hindrance to us. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't make us but want to even try, because we are there spin. And I keep saying, I always say, and I always use this podcast as an example. When I started, and I remember when a lot of people, I remember the first day I released my first episode, a lot of people were like, called me, giving me feedback, telling me what I had to do, what, I have to change,
Yeah.
and I keep saying to people, and I say to people today a lot as well, that I always encourage people to give me the feedback, because that's the only way you can learn. I'm not gonna lie, I was like worried about people. Do you know what I mean? And then now it got to a point where I realized that people doesn't really care. Like, no one even calls me to talk about my podcast. They always just talk about the content of the podcast. They don't really talk to me about, what I need to change, so in a sense that I feel like it's because of the consistency. Obviously, I will learn a lot from it. Maybe they also get used to my kind of style of interview. Do you know what I mean? Because maybe they know this style, and then people are call me and say, "Oh, look at watch Delay, watch this." I'm like, me and Delay are two different people. Delay has her own style. Everyone has their own style. Delay has her own direction. I have my own direction. But I when I watch people, I watch podcast a lot as well to learn a lot from it. So I kind of pick what I can pick from it. I can say, okay, this can actually goes in line with my program. So the same way I encourage everyone, tell me what you think. It's okay. It doesn't mean I have to take it. Do you know what I mean? So I encourage people to tell me, like, because I need that. I need sometimes you even need a negative criticism. Do you know what I mean? Like, you need it to just make yourself better. So yeah, I feel like it's just how to start. People are not really into start. That's when they doubt themselves. But once you start, then you realize actually people doesn't really care like that. Do you know what I mean? So imagine you spend so much time, so many years thinking about what people will think about you. When I started, it just showed me that I care for like just a simple, like they say what, and then they're all gone. They're probably minding their own business. They're probably doing their own thing. They forgot about us. And then we are there thinking about what they are thinking about us. They're not.
You see, in my case, for example, I found something exciting I've worked with for a while. I've worked with this for about 15 years, and I think it works. And anybody that I teach to do that, it works for them.
Share with us, please.
Being aware that you have low self-esteem or you have self-doubt is the first principle to overcoming it. And a lot of people do not even accept that they have that.
Yeah.
And so be mindful of the things that are running through your head. Your everyday thinking, your everyday actions may read meaning to why you are not self-conscious that, okay, I have some doubt here. I have something living with me as low self-esteem or whatsoever. So acceptance and then being aware of yourself. I had to find the awareness myself. Nobody had to do it for me.
Yeah.
We give you the awakening. Ask yourself questions. What am I not doing right? What am I repeating all the time that people are complaining about? It's basic conversation.
Yeah.
What are people saying that I do that is not resonating good with them? Be self-aware of your thoughts. Be self-aware of the things that are happening around you. That way you can tell that, this part, if I tweaked it a little bit, it may help me. Or you remember that Esi may have said that, no, Nana, do it this way next time. Kwabna said that, oh, Nana, that same thing, do it this way. If you heard the same thing from 3 different people who live in different places and they are repeating, it's the same lens they're watching you from. And so be careful the content they're giving you and then make sure you're paying attention. Don't just look at it as they're just criticizing and this person is not supportive. And no. Kill that negative energy. Control the negativity that comes into your mind. And then when you have that in control, you begin to realize what you could do better.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not even a coach or a counselor who can help you to overcome it. You realize that when you list these items, which I did when I was in secondary school, I had to list them. And I said, no, if I came out of the school and I couldn't continue to the university because my mother sat me down and said, Madam, after school, I may probably not be able to take you to the university. So go do visual arts. Let's see how it pans out. For visual art, when you're out of school, you can do painting. You can do other things to survive. You can even sew. You can do this. And I see you're creative, so just do it for me. She played that with me, spoke with me and said, okay, Akosia, do it for me, okay? And I said, okay. But when I sat down and I analyzed, when I come out of school and I have not learned anything from visual art that can help me, it means I am going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
If I wasn't going to be vocal, would my work or my pieces speak for me? That is my artworks. Was I perfect? No, I wasn't perfect. Was I the best student in that class? No, I wasn't. However, I was going to make sure that when I'm out of this place, this is like my make or break. And I got to know that before I came out of secondary school. Because I had become aware that sika na ebi ni ho.
Yeah.
Ukofa wa hwan ho. So one more homodin wa ha. And unfortunately for me, I didn't get the good grades. Oh, I had to do a research twice. I didn't get good grades. People see me and they think, oh, super intelligent. No. I didn't get good grades.
That's what I will think.
Never. I had to tell myself over and over that I'm going to give it a try. And based on that, it didn't delay me going to the university. Most of my mates were out of university before I started. But I told myself, hey, forget. Everybody's journey is different.
Yeah.
I had to talk to myself. I do the self-talking. And majority of the time, the awareness sits with you. You see that silent voice?
That was when you were in the secondary school.
Yes.
And you had that strength. When everyone was going that direction, you couldn't go that direction. And you were able to speak to yourself.
Yes. It's because I knew where I was coming from. And I was listening. I wasn't hearing.
Yeah.
When my mother talks, I listen. Maybe she felt like, but truth is, I was listening. Listening means I was consuming it. I was making it become part of my life. And so if you want to get out of that space of self-doubt, begin to listen rather than you hear.
Yeah.
What hearing means what? Listening means, oh, mate, mafa bibi womu ena me de ye adwuma.
Yeah.
So listen more than you are hearing. That's why my company name is Conversationalist Listening Ear Consult. I listen. I don't just hear.
Yeah.
So begin to listen and know that what they are really telling you. I knew that no, into my son my choir. Baby papa. So I had to learn.
Yeah.
If you listen, that silent voice will speak to you. The noise you think you're hearing, you block it.
Yeah.
Be intentional about you living every other day of your life. And that way you can be able to manage the self-doubt and then begin to turn it around into confidence.
Exactly. So as you said, we should always admit the fact that you lack self-confidence. You know what I mean? We should always admit that fact. What about the people that doesn't realize that they lack, self-confidence?
Listen to what people are telling you.
Okay.
I have cousins who are very timid. They don't want to speak, but when they do, you realize that they are speaking volumes. They speak like they're reincarnated. You can hear the voice like somebody who has deep thinking. And so, yes, you may not be speaking verbally, but your works may speak. When I wasn't very articulate, if you read every piece I had in that book of mine, that diary, at that time, you would tell I'm speaking big things. I'm not speaking just grammar. No. I remember in uni first year, my writing skills madam, she called me one time into her office and said, what is really happening in your head? You have something there. There's something, and it's written in your pieces.
Yeah.
I'm not marking your papers based on what you're just posting, like the assignment I've given, but I'm looking at the context of what you're speaking from. And it takes an intellectual mind to understand what you're writing. And she would offer the grade and say, Nana, keep it up. But this time around, take it in this direction or that direction so that it can be clear enough for you to be able to keep going. And you'll be amazed at the things she said at my writing. And she said, Nana, if you could speak some of these things, we would get to understand you better.
Yeah.
But my only way of making that communication effective is when I write. And so I turn to write more. You could be doing something else like speaking or even acting or something else within, like your IQ. There are people who see the story and then they already know the end.
Yeah.
There are people who can tell from akola before. Ate maninya oye before mani ye before alboa nneoma pa. And alboa ma nneoma si esipeyo. So whatever it is that sits in you as a person, that you may be seeing it as, because those days when I wrote those things, my mother would say, "Henning pennies and be then or George Don, me de fatu baby." But that lecturer picked it up and realized that I was not just speaking.
Yeah.
I was not just being ambiguous. I was speaking to a story, a situation.
Yeah.
And she called me, and when she probed further, I realized that someone now is listening. Someone now is watching what I'm doing. Then another lecturer says, "Hey, your personality is quite intimidating." I'm like, okay, what are they seeing that I'm not seeing? So I didn't let his sentence me. However, I made sure I got closer to him and I asked, why are you saying that my personality is intimidating? He spoke about my tone of voice. He spoke about my name. He spoke about how tall I am, how I look when I
He
appear.
wasn't even speaking that much.
Exactly. And you realize that when he pointed some of these things to me, it brought me to that realization to know that I have all the tools I need to complete the task of becoming a public speaker. So yes, I was speaking all right, but I was careful what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't want to show off a certain personality that people would, no, but this time around, I speak because I have to speak. I speak because I'm articulating properly. I speak because I do research before I sit there and speak. I speak because I know that per every little gesture that I'm portraying, it is telling a certain kind of story.
Yeah.
And people are listening.
Yeah.
Because when I started this course, I realized that feedback was everything.
100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
Feedback was, and it was never complete for a conversation when there's no feedback. So even if I made a post on social media and I didn't get a like, it was feedback for me. It meant that perhaps what I posted, people don't resonate with it. My audiences may not like that kind of content. So it was giving me some form of response for me to readjust and post again. And so whatever it is that you're seeing happening around you, for you to realize that there's some level of doubt, look at what people are saying that you're doing in the same context.
Yeah.
Be aware of your thoughts. That silent voice that tells you sometimes it's not God. Sometimes it's just your conscience telling you that you could have done this better.
Yeah. So let me just kind of put everything that you just said together in a nutshell. So before you didn't have the strength the courage to speak up all the time. And then your strength was into writing, which is nothing wrong with it. It's okay. At least you identify. Did you realize at the time that okay, that's your strength, the writings, rather than the
Yes, I
speaking?
did.
Yeah.
I did. I even went as far as putting it into acting.
Okay.
So in junior high school and senior high school, I acted a lot.
Yeah.
And people would say, hey, when it comes to acting, Alexis, they used to call me Alexis in school. She's all over the place. So my uncle Bukuno here.
Yeah.
And she's down there.
Yeah.
And I would act so perfect that people would question, is this really what you want to do? Then pursue it. I had to take the school to a drama competition, and then we had first because I led the team.
Yeah, and it's also identifying your skill, your skill set. So
Exactly.
you realize, okay, I can act, I can do this, I can write and all that. But then it took you a lot, it took you that feedback someone gave you. That's when it gave you the courage to be able to, because you could have been just like, could have been negative, could have been just like, and then that would have disencouraged you from everything.
Completely.
Yeah, but you were able to take that in a positive way and even went to ask more questions about it. I feel that's a very, very good thing.
Let me bring us to one experience I had when I had gone to the psychiatric hospital.
Okay.
Being a patient and returned back to school.
So you were a patient?
Yes, I was a patient before I completed secondary school at Accra Psychiatric Hospital.
So you were not staff over there?
No, I was a patient. Yes.
Okay. What were you struggling with?
I had lost my memory. I had typhoid and malaria.
Okay.
Malaria plus, and typhoid fever had sat with me for a long while. I had ulcer also in there, and I was also facing the divorce of my parent.
Wow.
And
that was
coming out of, I was about 17, almost 18.
Okay.
Yes. And From nowhere, I came back to school. I didn't know whatever happened in school before I came out. Okay. But I was told the story where I left school. I came back home. My mother found me somewhere. They took me to the hospital. They thought someone had abused me. And then they find out later at the hospital that it looks like I had just lost my memory. And there was malaria here and this. And then, so we had to fix all of that. And then I had to come back to school. Like I had to start the whole process again of learning how to speak, how to write, because I could not speak well. I could not. And it's just by grace that I still live. Wow. Yes. So I had gone through therapy. I had gone through a number of medications where it looked like, okay, she's getting better, so you can come back to school. And I came back to school and the stigma started. You know, here in Ghana, when you have been to the psychiatric hospital, and people knew I could act. And I would hear randomly people saying, hey, are you sure she's not acting? Because I was now recovering.
Yeah.
And so someone may come to me and ask and mention their name. And I'll struggle to get who this person is. And they did not understand the process of what was happening. They only thought maybe I was acting and I didn't remember them or something. So people would come and bump up at my dormitory door, coming in one after the other, asking, Alexis, do you remember me? Yeah, we used to eat here. We used to, and it felt a bit embarrassing.
Of course. Of course.
But then I learned something from therapy. I could pick that situation and turn it 360. And for me, each time that happened, I would tear. Sometimes I would even hang my towel in my net so that nobody sees that I'm in my room, because I was on medication that would make me sleep, because I needed the brain to relax more so I can recuperate. And then a friend came. Somebody I remember so well. She came in and she said, Alexis, if everybody does not remember you, me, I remember you. I know you will remember me. I would walk the journey with you. She would fetch water for me, eat with me, speak with me. And I'll tell you what, it encouraged me to turn my situation. Yeah. And to date, I speak for mental health. To date, I tell myself that, okay, if I couldn't speak in that moment, people were pointing at me and I didn't go bad, where people would have thought maybe by now I could have even committed suicide because I went through that situation.
Especially in Ghana.
Yes.
We don't understand mental health.
Who says we didn't get there? I got there. There were cases where, even at home, there were comments that would trigger and say that, okay, you were not seen fit enough to do certain things. And it would push you into that situation and then each time I remember my therapist. He says, turn that situation in 360 and you realize that the story will be different. And that, I'll tell you what, it gave me an awareness to know that no, there's something built in me. My situation just didn't happen because how many people go through my situation and survive?
Yes, no.
Most of them are in the grave.
Exactly.
So if I survived, then there's something I have to do to tell the story.
Yeah.
And so I am not shy to speak about mental health. I'm not shy to say that I had gone through A, B, C.
Yeah.
It has rather boosted my confidence to know that, no, there's a voice in me and I have to speak for that thing to happen.
Yeah. And for those of you, obviously, if you go through this situation and maybe you haven't got a therapist, it help you to come out of it. Just remember what Nana said to herself, or what the therapist said to her. Turn it around. Just turn it.
Yes.
It's up to you. You can't do that. People will be around you. Negativity will be around you. But at the end of the day, it's up to you how you come out of it. If you haven't got any plan, if you can't remember anything, just remember what we are talking about. Turn it 360.
Yes.
You have to do that. It's just you. No one will come and do it for you. Stay strong. Okay. All right. So maybe another day we talk more about your what you went through, how you overcame, like you just said. But then obviously there's a lot of things that to come out of it. The challenges in it. Maybe we'll go into it. Okay. So self-doubt. So you've actually done well, so you've been down there and then you were able to come all the way up again.
Yes.
And look at you today, inspiring people, speaking to
one situation that got me down there was the same mental health situation. When I had come out of it, I'd come out of school, I had gone to do journalism.
Yeah.
I kept asking myself that question, hey, if I want to do mentorship, people think I've been mad before. Hey, this matter, how will I say it and people understand me?
Yeah.
It's either I try or I don't try at all. And so I'll tell you what, that situation, it pushed me. Wow. Because it was whether I was going to do it and people were going to talk, or I was not going to do it at all and it's going to drain me. because I'll hear other people talk about it and I'll feel like I have something to say, and then I'm always bottling it up in there. And so sometimes see the downfall that you feel you are in as a stepping stone to get into the top. Everybody has self-doubt.
Yeah.
Every now and again, it will flip in your mind, but it's a matter of you controlling what you're thinking. I can't come and control it for you. No.
Yeah.
All the control lives with you. Someone has addiction and is asking, how can I stop? I can't stop it for you. You would have to make a decision. And that is where I say awareness sits in there. You have to engage yourself to be able to come out of it. So engagement comes in. And then now you begin to communicate it for people to see that, no, despite that situation, I am out of this. Despite this, I am scaling up. Despite that, I am pushing myself to, and that is when you see success coming your way. And so, yes, everybody can do it just like I have done it.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about cultural influence. How do societal expectations contribute to feelings of self-doubt, especially in different demographics?
I would say before the cameras came back on, we were talking about something.
Yeah.
Talking about culture and it's playing a very big role
Yeah.
in people having self-doubt. If you look at Akan setting, culture in Akan setting presents a certain way how a woman should be, how a man should act, how the child should be groomed. Example, until recently, not so far, like 30 or 35 years ago, women were known to be people who serve in the kitchen and not in the classrooms. And so that was a cultural norm, because at the end of the day, the woman is going to have a family, going to take care of the children, is going to take care of the home. So what is her purpose even in the classroom? So the men were aligned with going to classroom and learning. But things turned around. Why did these things turn around? Because we realized that when the woman would nurture the child at home, whether they went to school or whatever it is, they still come back with the homework for them to fix it at home. The father may not be at home because he's looking for extra money for the family. So the woman needed to go into the classroom. The woman was having a lot of self-doubt because she could perform a lot of tasks. But each time she pushed, it was like, okay, the limit you have is just the home. You don't go anywhere. And so culture has had a lot of influence on people's self-doubt. Until today, I have parents who have come to me and are questioning why their child thinks that they are going through even trauma. What do you know about trauma that you are talking about trauma?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm emotionally down, and the parent does not understand.
Yeah.
Because they come from a school of thought that cultural wise, you don't even have the moral right to feel that you have any emotion playing with you at your age.
How you gonna tell people? When I remember, I'm not cutting you, but I remember when I traveled and I did mental health as
Yeah.
well, and then I had no idea about these kind of stuff, and then the patients that I was working with, because they were adolescents, they're like between age of 12 to 17 or 13 to 17, yeah, and that was the patient that I was working with, and they were like eating disorders, and they go through mental health, because obviously the eating disorders comes under mental health, and then they go through mental health and all that. And then most of the about 95% of them, when you ask them what they're going through, they say they are depressed. And I'm like, what the heck?
Why were you saying that?
At your age?
Your orientation, your culture.
Yeah. And I thought, how you are 14, you are 15, how are you depressed? You don't, your parents look after you. You don't lack anything. How you telling me that you are depressed? But with time, I learn and learn and learn and learn, and I had to come down to their level to understand them. In order for me to help them to get their lives back, I have to come down to their level. And I felt like I understood so much, and I learned so much, and I realized, okay, it's even just the relationship between them and their parents can make them depressed. you know. And then I got to understand that actually even not having a good relationship with their parents can actually make them, feel the way they feel, or maybe the treatment that they are going through, they don't want the treatment. So that can also get them to, get them depressed. So yeah, as you're saying, I had to learn that thing from there. When I was here, I never thought, as a child, you have to be depressed. As a child, you have to go through mental health. Even as a man, how are you going through mental health as a man? You're this guy. Grow up, get up.
Get it to work.
Yeah. So
Make
yeah,
sure you're making the money, make the family work and all that.
So I agree with exactly what you're saying.
So, cultural wise, I'll say that yes, within the context we are speaking, the country we sit in, there's so much that has played with self doubt. And till today, even when it comes to talent shows, and you look at the number of kids that are appearing for this, it means that we have not been able to develop our kids to the extent that they can abandon the self doubts they have and then actually play on their talent. Elsewhere in somebody's country, kids as young as 2, 3 are creating product that we are using here. 5 years, 10 years are creating product that we use here. It's because their parents realize that they can encourage the kids. Even if they had a level of doubt in them, they could say, oh, don't worry, give it a try, keep pushing, you can get this working. So culture has played a lot of role in shattering people's confidence. Oh, oba enye say. There have been instances where even in relationships, it's as though the woman cannot have a certain level of freedom because it's not a woman thing.
Yeah.
A woman has to abandon certain things because if you did it, it would look like you are trying to play the man's character or the man's role. There are certain cultures that when you go, the woman has to prostrate on the floor when serving her husband. Until the husband is done eating, she cannot get up from the ground and all of that. And these things have ended up pushing people into a certain category of doubt where their confidence is dimmed, and such people begin to move their emotions and their feelings towards their kids. And so you realize that the circle is not cutting. It has become cyclical.
Yeah.
The mother who went through that situation is bringing it onto their child and then manifesting it. And you realize that the kids that are coming and technology that is coming and making them realize that, no, if you were being put through this situation, speak up. There's someone who can hear you. And it makes it as if the child is a rebellious child. And so, yes, culture is killing us. It's messing us up. However, I think culture is also playing a role to position you. An example is my situation. Although my mother was consistently saying a number of things, cultural wise, yes, she was right.
Yeah.
And then I was just opportune that I had a mind of understanding that she was not just speaking. I had come to the level of understanding where she's coming from, what she's been through, and what she does not want us to go through. And so you cannot afford to find yourself in trouble because when you find yourself in trouble, it will mean extra money spending. And that money does not exist. If you spoke in that direction or if you taught a child in that direction, you're not pushing their confidence down.
Yeah.
Because cultural wise, yes, this is what you have. This is how in your culture you solve situations. However, don't shut them entirely. That is to parent. Don't shut the kids entirely. There may be that little thing. Those who are committing suicide are not just, it just doesn't happen in a day. It takes a long period before they make that decision. And it's because perhaps you're not listening, you're not seeing that they are making the effort. And for those of you who have decisions, if you are sitting at home today watching us and you have plans of committing suicide, look at it like this. If you recorded every little progress you made in clearing that self-doubt that you had, if they said you were not beautiful and you could see yourself differently, because I use my mirror to tell myself I'm beautiful. I don't care what somebody else is saying. If they said, okay, you had a certain structure that was not working well, you should redirect that conversation and tell yourself what you know you see, because that is what you are and not entirely what they're saying. And also, if you saw that they were saying something that is not exactly what you think you want to portray, don't look at it as an evil thing. Look at it as something that could help you progress from one step to the other. And so you put in the little work, record every step of the journey, and then remember that it is okay to have self-doubt.
Yeah.
It is very, very, very normal. And when you have self-doubt and you begin to work on the shift mindset of making progress with growth along with you, you realize that self-doubt begins to diminish and confidence setting.
Okay. So let's talk about, we're gonna finish very soon. So, but let's talk about support system. How we can support each other. How important is it to have a support system when dealing with self doubts? And what role do friends and family play? So one thing that's actually um difficult, that is when you are doing something or you want to do something and you feel like no one supports you. No one.
If you understood the principle of success begetting eyeballs or begetting friends, you would understand that you don't need everybody to accept you in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yes, because when you are successful, everybody remembers that they know you. But when you're struggling, nobody knows that they know you. And so if you want to focus on what they may say at the end, then you will not push at all.
Yeah.
So look at it as this is this phase that you are struggling to get it there. And once you're able to become successful, believe you me, people who haven't spoken to me in like 10 years, 15 years, they pick the phone and they call me and act like they know me from like 30 minutes ago. Like they've been motivating me like 30 minutes ago. And so remember that success begets friends. And family and friends play a very vital role in making that self-doubt vanish or diminish.
Yeah.
However, if you don't have that support system, do not worry because self-doubt is okay. Just find that person who listening to you, who would open their ears and say, talk to me. And that person is always there. Sometimes you're not watching, you're not listening.
Yeah.
Because there are friends who would tell you the truth and you're offended.
Yeah.
And those are the people who are willing to listen to you.
Yeah.
So don't just be quick to fight those people who are telling you that this is not right. Do it this way. Don't be quick. Look at the things they're fighting you on as something that's supposed to help you turn you around. And you realize that they become your biggest support system. Don't rubbish people when they're saying the truth to you. Accept it. The truth is a bitter pill.
Yeah.
But if you learn how to swallow with a very nice beverage,
Yeah.
you realize that after all, it was going to save you from that sickness.
Yeah.
And so let's look at it differently. And then for family and friends, if you know you can offer support without expecting rewards. I think that is one of the things that people speak to me about personally when they come for coaching. Hey, me go come as a mature be. And that is because people have done it. They have seen it.
Yeah.
And so they are concerned that if they ever confided in somebody, they were going to use their story for A or B or C. So give them that reassurance. People want sometimes for you to say, oh, media menyesa. And media menyesa should not sit at media menyesa. Be honest with the words you shared that I was not going to do that. And indeed, you would not do that. Just give them that raw support of pushing them to the next level. Sometimes it's just a matter of, hey, you can do it. Give it a try. Oh, I believe in you. Oh, I know you can do this. I've seen you do this. I've seen you speak. Do this and then you can do it. Someone asked, Nana, do you rehearse before you go for some of the conversations you have with people?
Yeah.
And I said, rehearse. Rehearse on what? I don't rehearse. Some of them I sit there and then it drops in mind.
Yeah.
I just remember my situations that I've encountered. And remember that if I did not have these experiences, I won't be able to share with anybody. So pay attention when you're looking at self-doubt that you're building an experience.
Yeah.
And it's an experience that you get to share with you.
Yeah. Yes, love that. Love that. I can relate so much because everything is like, this is about my sort of journey, because I've learned a lot from what you said. I've experienced some of what you said as well. And it's only because I tried, I took the step. As I said, confident is when is the willingness to try.
Yep.
I take the step. I've learned so much. I give people opportunity to give the feedback, and I said to them, I'm not gonna take everything everyone says. It's impossible. So I'm just gonna take the ones that I think, even if it's negative, I still take it, and then work on it. And I'm just gonna take the ones that I think it stays in line with my direction. That's the only thing I'm gonna do. So I mean, just take the bold step, don't let anyone like that. I'm sure you've learned so much from this episode as well. It's very, very inspiring. We've got Nana to share with us some of her experience, and I'm sure that this is gonna benefit you in a way, in a lot of ways. I mean, don't doubt yourself. Just make sure take the step. All you need is just the first step. That's it. Just do it. Just be strong, stay strong as well. Nana, do you have anything to
Intentionality.
say that we haven't given you the opportunity to say?
All I have to say is that be intentional. Every step you make today has a repercussion in the near future. And so if you're going to be confident, remember that it's going to live in your future. If you're going to have self-doubt from today and continue having it from the next 10 years, it's going to live with you in the next 10 years. So be intentional about what you want your future to look like. The content we put on social media, the things we speak, the things we manifest, or the things that we say we want to be, we can be them if only we are intentional about the actions that get you to them. And so what I leave you with is have an intentional life. Every day is an intention. And then when you're about to go to bed, remember to have reflections of the day. So have the intentions for the morning. And then when you're back in bed, remember to have your reflections so that you can tell whether you did or you checked out the list for the day.
Because self-doubt won't take you anywhere. It will just make you stay where you are for the rest of your life. But just when you try something, you can win. You can win. Just try it. Okay. And let me know what you think in the comment section. Do you doubt yourself? What do you think about this episode? Let me know, because your comments really, really help us to grow. Thank you so much. Thank you for spending time with us. Just remember, success is a journey, not a destination. Remember to keep what you've learned today and keep building it. Thank you.